Instagram is the first social media platform I ever joined. What started as a fun way to stay connected to my friends has manifested into a habitual distraction. It's only many years later that I realized what a waste of time it's been and that I had to set boundaries. At this point, I became aware that my involvement in Instagram is entirely optional, and without hesitation, I left completely. So I'd like to share my argument on why I gave it up to help y'all consider an alternative future where one could live without social media. 1. A service for disturbance. Happiness exists when you don't know a thing. The Weekend. When we open social media first thing in the morning, we're allowing someone else to decide how we are going to feel. And a lot of times, it's unessential information that serves only to disturb us. With personal affairs, Instagram presents a fictional realm where everyone is at their best. Unless we've strengthened our frame of thinking, hearing about the good fortune of others may provoke jealousy or insecurity in oneself. In the worst case, we might catch news of something inherently negative, such as the passing of someone's family member, which saddens us regardless. In this way, it's a lose-lose situation whether we take in positive or negative information. Of course, the gradient between good and bad is further complicated the more accounts we follow. And then there's the judgment of others. The moment we decide to post an image or create a new story, we're allowing ourselves to be judged by our followers. And because there's not enough time in an Instagram story to build context, to show nuance, it's very easy for someone to misinterpret things. Sadly, this results in a surface-level judgment. If anything, our presence online serves only to give our followers ammunition to both judge and stalk us. The only time I'll make myself visible is when I'm releasing a new project. I would much rather that someone judge me for my work instead of my personal affairs, and oftentimes it's my close friends who will do so. I've adopted this philosophy in my personal life as well. I very rarely contact people outside of my immediate friend group to avoid suffering the needless pain of being judged or ghosted, whether or not it's malicious. I guess for this reason, I call myself incognito. 2. Living a double life. Living two lives like my name Danny Phantom. Nothing nowhere. The online presence that we see of our friends isn't always truthful or authentic. They may seem well put together and vibing on their profile page with thousands of followers to prove their importance, but their actual self is likely much more complicated, insecure, and probably a host of other things. Ironically, the people you see posting the most are probably also the ones going through the most. Why possibly would I need to put up a fake persona to win the approval of others unless I desperately needed their validation? Not to mention, that follower count is straight poison, by the way. The ones who chronically use Instagram are living a double life like their Danny Phantom. One life shows their most idealized self, while the other expresses their true, most vulnerable form. As candid as I am on my channel, I can't get down with a platform that operates on such deception and facade. But while I try to remain as authentic as possible on Food for Thought, I also understand the necessity to gatekeep the personal life. I suppose I'm no different from Danny either. 3. Trading clout for sobriety. My whole life has been a hollow waste, a futile exercise, for no one at death can take anything with them. Alexander the Great. Much of Instagram's appeal comes from the sense of community and belonging that our followers give us. It helps us feel like we can matter in an isolating world. Sometimes there's a simple joy to be had in sharing with others, and I dig that. We all have that one group chat with close friends where we take pleasure in sharing the most random of things. But on the macro level, most people aren't truly at the edge of their seats waiting for you to drop something. Instagram fills its users with this grandiose sense of self that is almost entirely fictional. Your special moment can never matter more to me than it already matters to you. Even for these videos, if I'm not doing it for myself, then what the hell is the point? These are my meditations after all. My channel will most likely fade into obscurity, and even on the off chance that I do make it, my fame and fortune will be lost to me in the end. If I'm gonna show up for someone, I want to be authentically there. Watching a story of their wedding is more so a distraction than actually showing up for the wedding itself. My viewership probably doesn't give much value to whatever you're sharing to begin with. So in essence, if you had a special event that you shared to Instagram and I wasn't there to see it, I promise you that it should still matter everything to you, but it means much less to me. 4. Trapped by profession. This is my brand and I charge you the fee. Bathing in the glory, I love my story. John Mess. If you're a creative professional, your line of work depends on having a social media presence in order to promote your personal brand. It's especially applicable to myself since I work in the line of videography. Indeed, I quite literally depend on the engagement of others in order to grow my online presence. In this way, it feels like these social platforms are a sort of futility that we can't avoid, which is why I get strange looks whenever I tell people I don't use Instagram. I happen to have the minimum presence I require as a creative professional, but that's about it. The other major downside occurs from the viewer's perspective. If you happen to follow creative professionals like artists, musicians, or content creators, you'll no longer be up to date on their happenings. The same can be said of events taking place in your city or restaurants launching a special promotion. Naturally, when we take in less information, we know less as a result. To an extent, I'm guilty of abandoning my artist friends. I'm unable to see what they've worked so hard on. Before going pro as an event videographer, I actually put myself to the test by taking a 2-month break from the platform. The Instagram detox is a massive hit to the ego, but it will set you free because you realize that you don't need to exist for anyone but yourself. In fact, it actually matters not to matter. Forget about your followers. The only person you need to be following in life is yourself. But online avoidance or detox isn't a feasible solution as a creative professional in 2025. I'm tied to these platforms due to my line of work, in which my follower count very much does matter to an extent. Can I really just walk away? Conclusion. Swallowed for eternity. You've got them like an addict, a perfect signal to the endless static, the runaway wild. Social platforms like Instagram are part of an information hell that none of us can escape, and it seems the designers responsible for creating our world feel equally as suffocated. At the end of chapter 6 of Johann Hari's Stolen Focus, he briefly mentions a conference where former Google strategist James Williams addressed an audience of hundreds of tech designers, asking how many of them wanted to live in the world they were designing. The silence was deafening. None of them wanted this. I don't either. I don't deserve to live in a fit of distraction. I deserve to be present and have peace of mind. I imagine my headspace before these social platforms took the world by storm. I don't know about you, but I'd like to restore some of that silence. If you really can't give it up, then it's time to set boundaries. Instagram is now open at 6:30 p.m. and is closed past 7, and the phone gets put away outside of the bedroom for the rest of the night. You're also only following friends and creators who you truly want to follow, and are limiting your total followed accounts to between 50 to 100. These companies are powerful forces who have hijacked our attention, but if I can exercise a minimum of discipline and form new habits that counter the political and economic agendas of Instagram, then maybe there's still hope to remove the time waste and live a more intentional life.